Hey gang, how you doing? This is Jonathan from Tailhunter International down here in La Paz, Baja, Mexico, and this is going to be your weekly video fishing report for, wow, we've come almost to the end of September, the end of the week, end of September, time for another video fishing report. This is going to cover the week of September 18th to the 25th, 2016. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for checking in. Let's get right into it. Listen, I'll be real honest with you. It wasn't the greatest week. We've had better weeks. We've also had a lot of worse weeks given the kind of year we've had. It was nice, steady fishing. It was not great fishing, but I've got to tell you, we had some great catches. For some of our folks, given the variety that we had this week, it was their first big rooster fish or their first rooster fish. It was their first wahoo, their first time tuna fishing, their first dorado. So in that respect, a lot of smiles this week, even though if you look at the actual numbers, and some folks, that's all they do. They want to know how many they're going to catch. In terms of the actual numbers, maybe we didn't have great fishing because there weren't a lot of fish in the box. But everyone who fished, if you fished a couple days with us, listen, you went home with some fish, you had a nice ice chest, you had some great photos, and you had a great time. So let's talk about some specifics. Weather-wise, we had great weather all week. We had some threats of some tropical afternoon storms that never really happened. Waters are blue, sun is out. In that respect, everything was great. In terms of fishing, let's talk about La Paz fishing. If you're a numbers kind of person, fish with our La Paz fleet right now because we've got a lot of dorado. That's the good news. There's dorado everywhere. You know, we have to search around for it every day, but for the most part, there's spots of dorado around Cerralvo Island, around La Paz Bay, Espiritu Santo Island and La Paz Bay, where you could get into a bite and boom, you're done for the day. You've got limits really easily. Or it could be one of those, two here, one there, nothing there. At the end of the day, you look in the box and go, whoa, you know, we've got some fish. There's dorado all over the place, and there's nobody who's not catching dorado right now if you're fishing with our La Paz fleet. The bad news is there's a lot of small fish. There's still a lot of little guys out there. I mean, the stuff that's 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds, most of those are getting released. But hey, you know, there's no size limit on dorado, so some guys are keeping those. But listen, if you don't go through the small ones, you're never going to get the bigger ones because the bigger fish are traveling with these smaller schools. You never know when you get into a school of dorado, boom, 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 you're in the little ones all over, and then you see the big guy hovering around the perimeter. And you've got to have a bait in the water or you're going to miss him because the little guys are going to hit your baits. Maybe one of you is running interference and the other of you hooks up to that big boy. There are some bigger fish, and that's really encouraging. If you're fishing with our La Paz fleet, there's some 15, 20, 25 pounders out there. We did have a couple 30 pounders that got off. So if you're looking for numbers and filling a box and having a lot of action, fish with our La Paz fleet because there's a lot of dorado out there. Now, let's switch channels for a bit and fish with our Las Arenas fleet over at Muertos Bay. This is where the variety was this week. This is where a lot of folks caught their most spectacular, their biggest, their first of something exotic this week. We had roosterfish, 40, 50, 60 pounds. They're still there along the beaches. The ticket for these, though, is you've got to be patient because you've got to go catch the sabalo, the ladyfish baits, and these baits are big, so you've got to take the time devoted to catching these baits. Once you've got those in the bait well, boy, go out and try to catch one of these big trophy roosterfish because there's some big boys out there. As well as dorado, yes, there's some dorado. We're seeing more dorado every single week. Some of these fish are 10, 15 pounds, the occasional 20-pound fish, so that's been a nice mix in there. The tuna are still there. Nothing really big this week. I'd say most of them were those football, and these are honest footballs, 8, 10, 12 pounds, maybe the occasionally 15 or 20 pounder. But in order to get these fish, and they're really close to shore, we're not running 10, 20, 30 miles offshore to find these tuna. They're literally more like 100, 200 yards right off the beach. You've got to have squid, and we are selling those. As long as I can get the squid from the market. This is restaurant grade squid that we're finding. I'm chopping up every night. If you want a shot at those, we're selling you the squid in the mornings when you leave with us. So be prepared to buy some squid because that's working for the tuna. It's also working for the dorado. The other great surprise this week, and really put a lot of smiles on everyone's faces, where the wahoo showed up again. They've been around on and off for almost all year, but this week they came on fairly strong. There wasn't a day that we didn't have 2, 3, 4 wahoos show up on the beach with our fleet, and other folks telling us, listen, I had one on, or I got one to the boat, or boy, I knew I should have put a little more pressure on it, but I missed that wahoo. So there's wahoo out there, and again, they're not out very far. The best thing on these, they're eating the squid, they're eating the other live bait, but they're also eating the dark colored rapalas. So if you're bringing some gear gear down. Bring down the dark colored X-Wrap 15s, X-Wrap 20s, X-Wrap 30s, and those are the hot ticket for these wahoo. There's also billfish out there as well. If you look at our fishing report, you'll see some billfish out there. Most of the billfish were released. A couple couldn't be released, so you'll see those in the report. But otherwise, a real good week of fishing. We are looking forward to some better fishing coming up, especially when you come down. So hope to see you down here sometime. Thanks for checking in. Hope you have a great week. And this is Jonathan from Tailhunter International checking out. Pictures coming up right now.